Hey there, and welcome back to another Popetti Math YouTube video tutorial, where today I am going to be teaching you, yes you, Algebra 1. And in this video, we're going to take a look at how to subtract polynomial expressions. In our previous video, we looked at how to add them, and now we're going to take a look at subtracting. So again, we're going to express our answers always as a polynomial in standard form. So in the first one, we have 4x minus 5, and then minus 2x minus 9. And when we have a subtraction sign or a minus sign outside the parentheses, that means something in math. That's very important that we don't forget what that means, because this is saying that we're subtracting everything in here. We're not just subtracting the 2x in the beginning, we're also subtracting that minus 9 on the end. So what we want to do is we want to distribute that negative sign to each term inside, because we're going to be subtracting 2x and then subtracting negative 9. So that's the way we break down those parentheses, and we're going to be left with negative 2x, and then minus a negative is a positive 9. Now that we've done that and we've distributed the negative sign inside the parentheses, because we're subtracting the whole entire parentheses, not just the first term of it, we're going to combine our like terms. So I see a 4x and a minus 2x, which will give me 4x minus 2x is 2x. And then I see a minus 5 and a plus 9. And when I combine those two, I'm going to get a plus 4. So I have 2x plus 4 as my simplified solution in standard form. Taking a look at part B, now we have a few more terms here, but again, we have a minus outside those parentheses. So again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to distribute that minus sign, that negative sign, whatever you'd like to call it. We have 6x squared plus 15x minus 9. And now we get to the fun part. We get minus the x squared. Then we're going to minus 10x. And then we're going to minus negative 8. So minus a negative is a double negative. That's a positive 8. And here's our long string of terms that now we're going to look for like terms. And when we look for our like terms, we have a 6x squared and a negative x squared. That's going to give us 5x squareds. We've got a 15x and a minus 10x. That's going to give us a 5x. And we have a negative 9 and a positive 8. And when we combine those two, we're going to get a negative 1. So our simplified value of this expression is going to be 5x squared plus 5x minus 1. And that is in standard form because we have our highest degree first and our constants last. Taking a look at part C. Again, we're subtracting, so we're going to be distributing the negative. I'm just going to recopy what's first there. 18x plus 24x squared minus 16. And now let's go ahead and distribute that negative. I get net minus 16x squared. I get minus a negative, which is a positive 22x. And I get minus 54. So now I'm going to look for my x squareds first, because again, I want to always keep it in standard form. So I have a 24x squared minus a 16x squared. That's going to give me a positive 8x squared. Now I look for my x's. I have a 18x and I have a 22x. And 18 plus 22 is going to give me 40 x's. And finally, I have constants of negative 16 and negative 54. And when I add those two together, I'm going to get a negative 70. So for my final simplification on part C, I should have 8x squared plus 40x minus 70. And finally, taking a look at part D, we do have fractions. Let's not let that scare us, because we have 1/4 x squared plus 1/2 x minus 1. And again, we have a minus sign outside those parentheses, so we're just going to start off by distributing that negative. So we're going to have a minus 3/4 x squared. And then we also want to subtract a negative 1/8 x. And when we subtract a negative, we're going to get a positive 1/8 x. Now we're going to look for our like terms. And I only see one term. Oh, that's because I did not copy this correctly. Make sure we have a 1/4 x squared there. So I do have like terms here. I have a 1/4 x squared minus 3/4 x squared. And 1/4 minus 3/4 is negative 2/4. Negative 2/4 can be simplified to, you guessed it, that's going to be 1/2. So we have negative 1/2 x squared. Then we have a 1/2 x and a 1/8 x. Well, now we're going to have to do some least common denominators. So it's going to be 8. So 1/2 is the same as 4/8 plus 1/8. So 4/8 plus 1/8 x is going to be 5/8 x. So we're going to have plus 5/8 x. And then we have a minus 1. And that's the only constant that I do see. So we're going to have a minus 1 after all of this. So our final simplification here is going to be negative 1/2 x squared plus 5/8 x minus 1. Now, in this video, we subtracted polynomial expressions and placed them in standard form. And I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up so that I know that I helped you out with subtracting polynomial expressions and placing them in standard form. You're now ready for exercise number 3. Thank you for watching.